Welcome students. In this portion of basic science, we will now pick up botany. We will now pick up botany. So basic science had two portions. One was zoology, and second is botany. So botany is about plants. So in this section of basic science, we are dealing with botany. So we will begin with botany with this lecture. Now the first thing over here is a term called tissue. So what is a tissue? Tissue are group of similar cells. So tissues are basically group of similar cell. So cell similar cells are organized into tissues. Tissues organized into organ, and many organs together form a organ system, and then organism, and then you have organism. So cell, then tissue, then organ system, and then organ. This is the basic structure, cell to the organism. So tissue is basically group of similar cells. So in case of plant tissue, so tissue is group of cell having common origin and generally performing a common function. So common origin and common function. Now plant will also have different type of tissues. So plant is an organism, and this organism is made up of different type of tissues. Now plant tissues are divided into two main groups. They are divided into two main groups: meristematic and permanent tissue. Plant tissue can be divided into two broad groups: meristematic and permanent tissue. These are the two broad groups of the plant tissues, and this is based on the quality, whether they have the capacity of dividing cell division or not. So first we will go into the meristematic tissue. The first one we are picking up is your meristematic tissue. So meristematic tissue have the capacity of cell division. They have the capacity of cell division. And they are generally localized, and they are generally restricted or localized in specialized region of the plant. So this meristematic tissue area are also called as meristem. So the meristematic tissue in plant are of the following types. This diagram is a very good representation of the meristematic tissue. Basically, the meristematic tissue can be divided into three broad groups. First one is apical meristem. Apex. So they are generally found at the root apex and the shoot apex. So this is the shoot, the top portion over here. This is the shoot area, and the top portion over here, this is shoot apical meristem. That is the upper portion. Shoot refers to the portion above the ground. Now just like shoot, at the tip of the root, at this point, at the tip of the root, you have root apical meristem. So shoot apical meristem cause vertical growth. This is the growth in the plant, vertical growth, and this causes the downward growth of the root in the soil. So vertical growth of the plant upward and downward into the soil. So shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem. Second is your intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. So they are present at nodes. The intercalary meristems are present at the nodes, and they cause increase in the length of, they increase the length of internode. And the third type of meristem is your lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. So this causes growth in the girth of the plant. This is example of your lateral meristem. So you have apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and the lateral meristem. So that the same point given over here, meristem at the tip of the root and shoot, that is your apical meristem. So the root apical will cause the root to go down, and similarly the shoot apical meristem will cause the stem to grow up. Now during the formation of leaves and elongation of stem, some cells are left behind from the shoot apical meristem and they form the axillary bud. So this is found at nodes. Such buds are present in axil of leaf and are capable of forming a branch or a flower. So while the plant is growing up vertically, say this was the shoot apex. Now as the plant growth happened, some of the cells are say left behind here and they form this axillary bud. So some of the cells of the apical meristem are left behind and they form the axillary bud. So these axillary bud can give rise to a flower or a branch. They can give rise to a flower or a branch. Now the third type is your intercalary meristem. So they cause increase in the length of internodes, and they also occur in grasses, and therefore they can regenerate part which are removed by the grazing herbivores. So due to this intercalary meristem, the part that are grazed away are restored. And then you have the third type, lateral meristem, which increases the girth of the plant. So these were the three type of meristem. These were the three type of meristem found in plant: apical, intercalary, and lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. Now moving on to, the plant tissue were divided into two parts. One was meristematic tissue that had the capacity of cell division, and second are permanent tissue. The second type are permanent tissue. So they lack the capacity of cell division. So they do not generally divide further. So they are lacking the capacity of cell division. So the permanent cell tissues can be divided into two: permanent simple tissues and permanent complex tissues. Permanent simple and permanent complex are the two type of permanent tissues. Are the two type of the permanent tissues. So let's take up the simple permanent tissue. So the simple permanent tissue is made up of only one type of cell. They are made up of only one type of cell. And you have three main simple permanent tissues: parenchyma, three variety, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. The three simple permanent tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. These are the three. Now here you will find the cell wall. In plant cell we have the structure called cell wall. Plant cell have the structure called cell wall. Cell wall. Here you will find in parenchyma the cell wall is not that thick. Now in collenchyma you will find at the corners there is thickening, and in case of sclerenchyma the cell wall is much thickened. So the mechanical strength will increase from parenchyma to collenchyma to sclerenchyma. So in case of parenchyma, the key point over here is parenchyma. Cell wall is always made up of cellulose in case of plants. The parenchyma performs function like photosynthesis, storage and secretion. The function of parenchyma are photosynthesis, storage of nutrient as well as secretion. And the key point we discussed in the beginning, their walls are thin. So comparatively the wall of parenchyma is thin. They have less amount of cellulose. This is there. These are the walls of parenchyma cell, thin. Compare this with this one. This one is thicker. In collenchyma it becomes thicker. So that is about parenchyma. Primary function: photosynthesis, storage and secretion. Then you have the second type of simple permanent tissue, that is your collenchyma. The next one is collenchyma. So they can be either as a homogeneous layer or in patch. They can be found here and there in patches. And this consists of cells that are much thickened at the corners. They are much thickened at the corners due to deposition of cellulose. So these corners are much thickened. So at the corner you will find much thickening is there at the corner. So that is your collenchyma, thickening at the corners. And this thickening is due to deposition of component like cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. So cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin are deposited at the corner, and they provide mechanical support to the growing part of plant, such as petiole or stem, etc. So this will provide the mechanical strength. Parenchyma has the least strength, collenchyma has higher strength, and maximum strength is there in case of sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma are long and narrow cell. Sclerenchyma are basically long and narrow cell with thick and lignified cell wall. Here you have deposition of a compound called lignin. You have deposition of lignin in the cell wall. There is deposition of lignin, and they are usually dead. Usually the sclerenchyma is dead. So they can be fiber, either in the form of fiber or sclerids. So they are thick walled. The fibers, the sclerenchyma can be in the form of fiber or sclerid. The fiber would be thick walled, elongated and pointed cells. They generally occur in groups. Their occurrence is in group in different part of plant. For example, in the fruit wall of nuts, they are very hard. Pulp of fruit like guava, pear, sapota, seed coat of legumes. The seed coat are hard. We'll find in case of gram, moong, etc. the seed coat. And the leaves of tea. Leaves of tea have much greater strength. So they provide mechanical support to the organs. Sclerenchyma provides mechanical support to the organs in the plant. So we discussed about simple permanent tissue. So permanent tissue, two type. One is simple permanent and second is complex tissue or complex permanent. Complex permanent. Why complex? Why the term complex? Because they are made of more than one type of cells. And these together work as a unit. And these cells together work as a unit. You have two main complex tissue, xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem are the complex tissues in the plant. One is xylem, another is phloem. Xylem and phloem are the complex tissues in plant. Xylem and phloem are the main complex permanent tissue. The complex permanent tissue are two types, xylem and phloem. Now just take a look at xylem and phloem. Now the xylem is made up of vessels, tracheids, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma. These are the four components found in case of xylem. So this is the xylem tissue. Four different type of cells. Similarly, in case of phloem, you have phloem parenchyma, you have companion cells, and you have phloem fibers and sieve tube. These are the four different type of elements or cells present in xylem. In phloem. In xylem you have xylem parenchyma, vessel, tracheid and xylem fiber, and in phloem you have phloem parenchyma, companion cell, phloem fiber and sieve tube. So these are the types of cell present in xylem and phloem. And the main function of xylem is to act as a conducting tissue. Main function is what? To act as a conducting tissue for water and minerals. And this carries the water and mineral from root to the stem and leaves. So the work of xylem is to carry water and mineral from root to the stems and leaves. And this also provides mechanical strength to the plant part. They are also providing mechanical strength to the plant part that is there. And this is made up of four different type of elements or cells that we discussed: tracheids, vessel, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma. Here you have to remember this is the main function. So it carries water and mineral from root to the stem or leaves. The water goes. Now the water and mineral reach up to the leaves, and the function of leaf is photosynthesis. So plants make their food by photosynthesis. Now the food that is prepared by the leaf has to be transported to different part of the plant. It has to be transported to different part of plant. And here comes the role of the second complex tissue, that is phloem. So this transports the food material prepared by the leaves to other part of plant. It can be stem, root, leaf, anything. So in angiosperm of flowering plant, it is made up of sieve tube, companion cell, phloem parenchyma and phloem fiber or bast fiber. Now this fourth one, the phloem fiber or bast fiber, is very important because this has commercial application. Many of the fibers like jute, hemp, sun hemp, flax are basically bast or bast fiber, phloem fiber or bast fiber. So many of the fiber of commercial importance are basically phloem fiber or bast fiber. That is why very important. Now they have been used for centuries as a natural fiber. They have been used since centuries for fiber. Jute was the main packaging material before the emergence of plastic and polymers. Before emergence of plastics or synthetic polymer, the main packaging material was jute. So that is why they are of great commercial importance. But one of the important aspect of jute, flax, hemp and sun hemp is that you have to put the plant in water for a few days. You have to immerse them in water for a few days so that the stem rots away, and then only the fibers can be separated. You have to allow the stem to rot away and then the fibers can be separated, and this process is called retting. So this is called retting of jute and other thing. You allow the stem, you put the plant in water and the plant portion will decay away, and then you separate the fibers. So jute, hemp, sun hemp, flax, you need the process of retting. Now another important fiber that have been used by human for centuries is cotton fiber. But cotton fiber we do not get from xylem or phloem. Now in case of cotton fiber, we get cotton fiber from fruit. The cotton fruit is like the size of a lemon. These are the cotton balls. They have the size of the lemon. Now when they mature and dry up, these balls burst open and the seeds covered with cotton fiber can be seen. So we get cotton fiber from the fruit of cotton plant, not from the stem. Jute we get from the stem, whereas cotton fiber we get from the fruit after drying up. Now moving on to the parts of plant. What are the parts of a plant? You must have seen a plant. There are two portions. One is the root, which is found inside the soil, and the upper portion above the soil is in general is your shoot. Now here it is primary root, then you have secondary root and then tertiary root. Primary, secondary and tertiary root, and here you have root hairs. In tertiary root you also have a thing called root hairs. So the root is found below the soil, and the function of root is what? Absorption of water and mineral. In the upper portion, this is the shoot, stem, and here you have this bud. This is the nodes. These are the node. The gap between two nodes is called internode. Leaf, flower. This is the flower. Pollination takes place. Then you have formation of fruit. So in case of plant, you have two broad area, root system and shoot system. Further classification can be done based on reproductive portion and vegetative portion. Another classification can be reproductive portion and vegetative portion. Reproductive part and vegetative part, these two classification can be there. Now We have heard about herb, shrub and tree. Herb, shrub and trees. Now plant with herbs. In your garden you will find many herb plants. They are green and they have tender stems. The herbs have tender stem and they are generally have a short life and they do not have many branches. Most of the flower you will find in your pot are basically shrubs. They have short life, green and tender stems. In case of shrubs, the second group of plant is shrubs. Herbs, then you have shrubs. So shrubs develop branches, multiple branches near the base of the stem. So large number of branches emerge from the base of the stem. And this stem is hard but is not very thick. And such plants are shrubs. Such plants are shrubs. So herbs, shrubs, and third is your trees. Herb, shrub and trees. Herb, shrub and trees. They are generally very tall and they have hard and thick stem. They have hard and thick stem. The shrubs have hard and thick stems. And the stems have branches in the upper part. And such plants are called tree. Herb, shrub and tree. They are thick and they have branches in the upper part. For example, mango and other. These are the trees. There are certain plants which have weak stem. There are certain plants which have weak stem and they cannot stand upright, but they spread on the ground, and such plants are called creepers. By the side of road or jungle area you will find there are many plants which are spreading on the ground. These are called creepers. Many of the vegetable we get are also from creepers. So they spread on the ground. Whereas some plant have weak stem, but they take support and can climb up. They are called climbers. One is creepers and climbers. Creepers and climbers. For example, take a look at this. This is a ecological wire mesh, and here these are the creepers. These are the creepers. Here you have soil. These creepers keep on growing on these wire mesh. These creepers keep on growing on this wire mesh. This is also called an ecological wire mesh. Moreover, the leaf can be modified. The leaf can be modified. Basic function of leaf is photosynthesis. So the basic function of leaf is photosynthesis. But they can be modified to perform some other functions also. So they can be modified to perform some other functions also other than photosynthesis. So they can be converted into tendrils for climbing, as in pea. For example, this is the case of a tendril. Here this helps in holding on to a part so that the plant can go up. So it helps in connecting to a stem or a wire and other so that the plant can grow up. Tendril. This is for climbing. Otherwise, in some other plant, the leaf can be modified into spine. This is for defense purpose. For example, here the spines of cactus are basically modified leaf. It has two functions. One is protection. And second is reduce surface area for transpiration. So the transpiration loss is minimized. So the transpiration loss is minimized. So here you have the leaf modified as spines. Some leaves, for example, in case of onion and garlic, some leaf, as in case of onion and garlic, they have been modified to store food. So here the function is what? Storage. So these are example of storage leaves, onion and garlic. The leaves can be modified. Another classical example is found in plant Australian acacia. Australian acacia plant. Here the leaves are small and short leaf. These are the leaves. This is the beginning stage. The petiole in these plant expand. This is the petiole area. The petiole in this plant expand, become green and synthesize food. They are called phyllo. So these small leaves, now this petiole expands, if this expands, this one, and the leaves slowly fall away. And at the end this petiole remains, this is called phylloid. So this is another adaptation in leaves. Another classical example is of the leaf is found in insectivorous plants. Some plant consume insect. For example, one of the insectivorous plant is pitcher plant. Here the leaf is modified. Here the leaf is modified into a pitcher. This structure. And this is the leaf. This is the pitcher plant with multiple pitcher. So pitcher is a modified leaf. Pitcher is a modified leaf. This is the lid of the pitcher. So basically leaf is modified into pitcher like structure. And this pitcher traps insects. And from them it gets nitrogen. The insect provide them nitrogen. So pitcher plant is generally found in areas deficient in nitrogen. They are found in areas deficient in nitrogen. So by capturing the insect, they get the nitrogen. Now let's cover what are the part of a flower. Part of a flower. Flower is the reproductive part of plant. So basically flower is reproductive part. All other parts that we discussed were vegetative part of the plant. Flower is the reproductive part of the plant. Now let's go one by one. What are the parts of a flower? You'll find at the base of the flower you have greenish color structure. This is the stem portion here over here, and then you have the receptacle, broad like structure, and then you have green leaf like outpouring, and this is called sepal. This protects the flower bud in the beginning. When the flower is in the form of bud, this is covering the entire flower. Now slowly the bud will open and then the petals will become visible. Petals are generally brightly colored. So one is sepal, then petal, the sepal, then you have petal. Then the male part of flower is called stamen. The male part, it has two portions, anther and filament. This lower portion is filament and at the top is the anther where the pollen grain is found. Then you have the carpel or the female reproductive part. The upper portion has stigma and style. This is found in the upper area. And then you have ovary. Stigma, style and ovary are the part. And inside ovary you have this ovule or the seed in this ovule. These are the ovules. So the female part, carpel or the female part of the flower, female gamete of the flower has stigma, style and ovary, and inside the ovary you have ovules. Now, so the flower has four whorls or the four whorls. Calyx, we'll go one by one. Calyx. This is the outermost whorl or the layer, and this is made up of sepals. Individually you call them sepal, this green color thing, and together you call them as calyx. Generally the sepals are green, leaf-like, and they protect the flower in the bud stage. That is the function of calyx. So individual one is sepal, together we call them calyx. Then corolla. Now this corolla is composed of the petals. Corolla is composed of petals. And they are generally brightly colored. For example, rose, China rose, red in color. The purpose of color is to attract insect for pollination. That is why most of the insect pollinated plant are colored, colorful petals. Then you have androecium or the male part. The third one is your androecium. Androecium or the male part. And this is composed of stamen. And stamen represents the male reproductive organ of the flower. This consists of a stalk or filament, and at the top is an anther. At the top is the anther. Now this anther has pollen sacs, and inside the pollen sacs you have pollen grain. So basically the male gametes are stored in the pollen grain as in the pollen sac as pollen. So that is your male part. Then you have the female part or gynoecium. Androecium, then you have gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part, gynoecium. And basically the carpel or the female part has three portions: stigma, style and ovary. And stigma, style and ovary. Once again going into the diagram. This one is the stigma at the top here, then style and then ovary. If I make a simple diagram like this, this one is stigma, style, and the basal portion is your ovary. Stigma, style and ovary are the three portions. These are the three portions of the flower: stigma and style and ovary. So ovary is present at the basal portion. At the basal portion you have ovary, that is slightly enlarged, and there you have the ovules or the seeds. The ovules will mature into the seeds. So ovary is present at the basal part. style connects ovary to the stigma. Style will be connecting ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually as the tip of the style. The stigma is at the tip of the style, and this is the receptive surface for pollen grain. Pollen grains are received by the stigma. Then it will go through the style and finally it reaches into the ovary where fertilization takes place. Now these are the four: calyx made up of sepal, individual is sepal. Then you have corolla, individual is petal. Then androecium or male portion, then gynoecium or the female portion. These are the four portions of the flower. After fertilization, the ovary matures into a fruit. The fruit is the characteristic feature of a flowering plant. This is a mature or ripened ovary. So the ovary after fertilization ripens or matures into fruit, and this happens after fertilization. And if the fruit is found without fertilization, then this condition is called as parthenocarpic fruit. And if the fruit is found without fertilization, then it is parthenocarpic fruit. The fruit consists of a wall or the pericarp and the seed. The fruit has two portions, the pericarp and the seed. Pericarp can be dry or fleshy. It can be dry, it can be fleshy. If it is thick and fleshy, if the pericarp is thick and fleshy, it can be divided into three: the outer portion, the outer epicarp, the green color, this epicarp, greenish or reddish in color or yellowish in color, epicarp, the outer skin of the mango. The middle portion is mesocarp, and the inner hard portion is endocarp. And inside the endocarp you have the seed. Inside the endocarp you have the seed store. Now same is the case of coconut. You have the outer structure greenish color or brownish color. Then you have the messy structure. This is there in coconut. So this is the fibrous portion. This is your mesocarp. This portion is mesocarp, and this hard structure over here is there. This is endocarp. So epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. And the seeds are there inside the endocarp. The ovule after fertilization develops into the seed. The ovule are changing into the seed. So seed is made up of seed coat. The outer portion is seed coat and the embryo. Seed coat and embryo. The embryo consists of radicle and an embryonal axis and cotyledon. Radicle, embryonal axis and cotyledon. If it is one, that is monocot. Wheat, maize are example of monocot plant, single cotyledon in the embryo. If there is single cotyledon, it is called monocot. And if you have two cotyledon, it is called dicot. This is there in case of gram and pea. Gram and pea are example of dicot. Now in case of plant produce carbohydrate, protein and other things. So photosynthesis takes place in the plant and they produce carbohydrate, protein and other component. We know the function of protein. We know the function of protein. We know the function of fat or lipid. And we also know about the function of carbohydrate. We also know about the function of carbohydrate. So we are knowing about their function. Protein function, function of protein, function of lipid, function of carbohydrate. We know about them. We know about them. But we are not knowing about many other components found in plant. We'll find that if we analyze plant or fungi, there are many plant products whose functions are not clearly defined. In case of plant, why the plant produce them? So when you analyze plant, fungi or microbe, you will find thousands of compounds other than the primary metabolite, other than the primary carbohydrate, protein, fat. For example, alkaloids, flavonoids, rubber, essential oil, antibiotics, pigments, scent, gums, many things are there. And these are called secondary metabolite. These compounds are called secondary metabolite. Why secondary? Because we know the function of the primary metabolite. So while the primary metabolite like carbohydrate, protein, fat, their function has been identified. We know what is their role in the normal physiological process. But at the moment, we do not know the role or the function of all these secondary metabolites. That is why the name secondary metabolite. That is why the name secondary metabolite. Some of the example of secondary metabolites we will be taking up. For example, pigments. Example, carotenoids, anthocyanin. This gives you color. Carotenoid and anthocyanin. Then alkaloids. Example of alkaloid is morphine, codeine, etc. Morphine, again opium. So morphine reduces pain. So in case of severe pain, morphine is given. Then terpenoids. So they have medicinal use. Morphine, codeine. Codeine suppresses cough. Terpenoid like monoterpenes, diterpene, etc. Essential oil. For example, lemongrass oil. This is used with, they have a good smell. That is used for that purpose. Many of the plant product contains toxin. So these all plants are not consumable. Some plant contains toxin like ricin, abrine, etc. Then lectins. Then drugs. Many plant produce anti-cancer drug like vinblastine. Curcumin is there in case of turmeric. Curcumin is found in case of turmeric. It has anti-cancer, antibacterial and many other properties. Then they have many polymeric compound like rubber, gums, etc. So these are called secondary metabolite because they are called secondary metabolite because we do not know their exact role in plant life. We do not know their exact role in plant's life, That is why they are called secondary metabolites.